So now we're moving into the nitty-gritties about the money side of things, setting up your bank account, because there are a number of steps that you have to follow, specifically for the CECL program.
Absolutely, and one of them bank account. And somebody thought it was just a piece of cake to go in and set up a bank account, but there ended up being a lot of questions. So we thought, why don't we come up with a bit of a list here of some of the common things that come up about going to the bank. And so, first of all, our general recommendation is the bank do your CECL funds in a different bank account than your personal one.
Are you required to do that?
When I say different one, I should say a branch altogether.
So, oh, really?
So
a different bank.
A different bank, exactly.
Why?
You don't have to. By the way, it's not a requirement of the CECL program. To do your personal banking at Van City and then doing another one at RBC. That's not a requirement. The reason why, though, is we've seen many of times when the CECL funds are in the same institution.
Right.
What happens is if your personal funds are overextended.
Yeah,
let's say that you are overextended by $200 or $300. Instead of charging you an NSF fund, they're being very nice, and they out of your other account cause you troubles within the CECL program. Easier not to use the CECL, obviously, for any personal. So banking at a different bank, but if you don't have another bank around, go ahead and do it. But just be aware that this kind of situation can happen. A lot of people say, when should I start setting up a bank account and stuff, by the way? If you feel that the case manager has told you, oh yeah, we're going to move forward on this program with you, it's just a matter of getting all the paperwork done, that's your trigger to start getting this, right? Because it takes a little bit of time to get your bank account set up and get things ready. So in regards to if you are on phase 1 of the program where you're the direct employer, or you're using a representation agreement, a straightforward checking account in your name is fine. Okay. You don't need to, it doesn't need to be a special society. It doesn't need to be anything. Mm-hmm. It's a straightforward personal account. You should be aware that there's some institutions out there that do provide checking accounts for people with disabilities. You should investigate that. If you go into a bank or a credit union, you should ask them, do you have any plan abilities? And some people actually do that, and sometimes that means you don't have to pay the monthly fee, or you don't have to pay for the checks, those kinds of things. Every dollar helps, right? If we can save $20 a month on service fees, then that's $20 that we have that we can pay our staff, right?
Are there any institutions that you're aware of that offer that, or?
I know that Van City has been a real promoter of that.
Okay.
So they do that for sure. But we're also aware of this as well, and I can't really name them because I don't know specifically. It doesn't come to mind right now, but I know there has been a couple that do. But Van City actually promotes the fact that they do that for people with disabilities.
So we just had someone, Nancy mentioned BMO. If anyone else online has had experience with this, if you could just mention the names and we can add them later to sort of a list. That's really helpful information to have.
Great. Okay. So interest-bearing account. So it can be an interest-bearing account. That that means you can get your 2 or 3 cents. That every month.
Yes.
It's very little the interest that they provide on that.
Very little.
But it can be an interest-bearing account. You can request no Interact card, or at least not being attached to your account. You don't want to put you in a position where your personal assistant is able to take your card and go and use it. It is expected, actually, as part of the program, that you don't have the Interact card to be able to use at a machine. So what you can do is you can still request from the institution a card, because you may want to access things online, right? Because you want access to maybe your statement or see what's gone through and what's not gone. But so you can request to still have the say, I don't want it to have interactability, right? Just get, because first of all, you can never take any cash out of your CECL funds without writing a check, right? Documented. So you're never going to have an opportunity to go down and get $500 to give to your attendant.
Yes.
To pay them for their pay for their wages.
Yes.
Right? It's not allowed through the program. You have to document everything, and that's through a check. Gotcha.
So some banks nowadays sending your checks back. You know, there's any digital copy. Do you actually need the physical check back? Or
the good news is now you don't need your physical checks anymore.
Okay.
An image check is perfectly fine. Some banks will say, you know, with an image check is going to cost $1 a month for this program to be able to keep it for your files and stuff. Right. So it means go ahead, and that's to be paid for through your funds as your allowable expenses. Which reminds me of the mailing out, right? So a lot of most banks and institutions these days generally are online these days. We're going green on everything, right? But you know, in our particular case, getting a hard copy is the best way to go. One thing, you don't have to print it out that way, and you have to keep all the originals and stuff, anyways, for your CECL program. So.
Gotcha. Okay.
So you should also know that at least your health authority, and maybe there's other health authorities, they are requiring you to have 2 signatures for your account. The idea here is that, you know, it's somebody who you trust that would have either a family member or a spouse or someone that would also have signing rights to the CECL account. And they want that so that if you end up becoming hospitalized or something happens to you, that you end up having someone else that can still continue to do the payroll.
Not 2 signatures, and I mean just 2 people signing authority.
2 signing authority. That's a good point.
Okay.
Sorry. Thank you for that clarity, actually. Yes, not that 2 people have to sign at once, but that somebody else also has the ability to sign your checks as well. So that you know, and you know, this has come up as some concern, and I think it's newer through Fraser Health Authority. So if you're concerned about that and you don't want someone else to sign, I think you just need to be really clear with them about why it may not be a good idea. You know, the idea though is an interesting one in that they want you to be sure that your payroll doesn't stop.
Yes.
Right. So. Right. Requesting, requesting temporary checks is what that's saying there. And, you know, what you need to get the CECL program rolling is and we're going to discuss it more in a bit, but you have to send in a direct deposit form. And within that direct deposit form, you need either a voided check or you need a printout, a receipt printout from the bank that gives permission for automatic deposits to happen. Right. So, so you know, so I think that's coming up here, right? Let me just see. Oh yeah. So I guess let's carry on talking about direct deposit forms. Yes. So that's on the next page, anyways. Is it? Yep. I believe so. That's true. Yes, it is true. So the direct deposit form. So just so you know, around the direct deposit form, it's actually pretty straightforward. It asks for your name, your name, your address, your phone number, your telephone number. So you just fill those things out, and then what your bank institution is, your branch address, and then phone number, and you know, you fill out the information. But within this, you just attach a voided check from the bank, and you bring that with you. Then you submit it all together, right? So if you have that information by the time, you know, you're ready to finish signing the contract, sometimes the, you know, depending on when you're starting the program, you know, as long as you get that financial voided check and stuff over to them, they can start processing quickly. Kind of thing. So generally, though, people ask, how does it take to get yourself set up on the CISO program? If your hours have been approved and they've approved you to go on the CISO program, it generally takes about 6 weeks.
Okay.
The whole process of, getting the program, it's nice to give yourself 2 or 3 months, to be honest with you, to kind of get things all in place and stuff. But, they can do it quicker. I've seen it being done quicker, but for your own benefit, it's good to kind of go through a whole process and get it done.
So once your bank account is set up, is there a notification from the health authority that they have added funds to your account? So you can
yeah, great question. So, when your email from the health authority indicating that the deposit has happened or is going to happen shortly.
Right.
So it's a statement that you get from them every month. So
you get an e-notification.
An e-notification that it's happened.
Okay,
yes,
perfect.
Absolutely.
So once it's established, they do it at the same time every month.
Exactly. And don't be surprised, though, the first time might come as a check, right? Because maybe they weren't able to get it in the cycle or something, right? Where some people even having a couple of months of getting a check first,
okay,
and afterwards the automatic deposit happens. So it's no problem to get a check. I should mention here, because I don't think we talk about it later, is that, as you agree to go on the CISO program and that you're going to need to train your staff, if you're already using an agency system, perhaps you're living at another environment already that somebody else is providing you your supports, you can request anywhere from 2 to 4 days of training days that can be paid for through this, so that maybe you are, maybe you're starting June 1st, for example, and but you have somebody else doing your supports right now. You can request that you have a few days before June 1st for the person to be able to observe the other attendant, do a bit of additional training and things like that. So be aware that at least 2 days should be able to be funded, and where we're up to 4 or 5 days has you have to negotiate with your case manager, who then will go and request that for you.